Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a very interesting discussion here this afternoon, I think. And I have to say, starting off, I think, Professor Bray, I think you've got a reasonably good idea as far as maybe the way to handle this. The challenge is passing anything substantial which can make it through the Senate. We can get things passed in this committee. Sometimes they're bipartisan, sometimes they're not. We can get things through the floor, but the Senate has different rules over there, and you need 60 votes to get anything done, and one side or the other thinks because if something passes, it's going to adversely impact them politically, and they can run against the other side saying they were a do-nothing Congress. It's hard to get anything done in the Senate under the current rules, except during a process called reconciliation, where you don't need 60 votes, and that's why we at least have a chance of getting the tax bill that already passed through the House through the Senate. But I've already gone way off from where I had intended to go here, and I only get 5 minutes. So I agree with a lot of what I've heard from my colleagues, and I agree with, although there are some things that obviously you all differ on. But we have 500, 600, and there are vacancies now, but how many federal district court judges do we have right now? Is it 550 or what? Anybody know approximately what that number is?
Approximately 650, 680, I think. 650,
680?
I think it's 680. 680,
okay. It just seems that there's something inherently wrong when you can forum shop under the existing things, which is basically, especially in the last 3 years, been happening. You know, Republicans go to the Fifth Circuit, they go down to Texas where they consider they're going to get more conservative judges, they're going to agree with them when they're up against Obama. And now Democrats, the liberals, go out to the West Coast, the Ninth Circuit, because they think they're going to get a more favorable opinion. And you can literally stop something that the duly elected President of the United States has determined with his powers to do. Sometimes, you know, Congress has passed legislation, but sometimes it's an executive order that he's acting on. But it just seems wrong. They could have gone to any other judge, got a completely different opinion, and as the chairman said, it can be in effect for months because of that one unelected judge, or it could be as long as a year sometimes. And these are pretty impactful things, whether you're talking about DACA or you're talking about a type of travel ban, although, you know, that term, some people disagreed with the term there. But there's just something really wrong with our government when that can happen, with one person acting in that way. And you've sort of gone to that person because you've got a really good idea which direction they're going to go. I don't think the American people are served under that process, and I think we have a responsibility to change it. And I'd love to hear a comment. Maybe I'll start with you, Professor Bray.
I agree. I can't speak to the political realities, though I do hope that the fact that both sides have been on the receiving end of national injunctions will give everyone an incentive to see their potential danger and also the potential infringement on the prerogatives of Congress, because it's statutes that are passed by Congress that can be knocked out by a single judge instead of the more orderly process through precedent. So I would hope there would be some sense of Congress as a body of this, the importance of this, not just each party.
And I guess, and I've only got a minute and 10 seconds, now 9, now 8 seconds left here, so let me just ask this. You had mentioned for 170 years this didn't happen. You know, it's only happened for 50, and it's really only happened for the last 3 years. How did we as a nation get by without doing this for that period of time? It reminds me a little bit of the Federal Department of Education. I'm a former school teacher. We didn't have a Federal Department of Education till 1970s. How the heck did we educate our kids prior to that? You know, we do things, and there are a lot of people that would disagree that suddenly the education system in this country is better since now we have a Federal Department of Education. I'm getting a little off track here again. But we didn't do this for a long time, and now we're doing it. Let me ask you, Mr. von Spakovsky, how did we get by with it, and is there any lesson here, and how should we change this?
Look, I think part of the problem is, and I don't want to be too critical about this, but look, Congress, you've delegated too much of your authority to the executive branch and to executive branch agencies. And unfortunately, too many of the statutes that you pass are so broadly worded that you're giving a lot of authority to these agencies to interpret the law, come up with their own regulations, and that's why we end up in court so often. You know, there are so many lawsuits filed against federal agencies over the regulations they issue, and that's because Congress is delegating too much authority to these agencies. You need to pull that power back into Congress, and that's part of the problem.
I completely agree with you, and I'm unfortunately out of time. Thank you very much.